Dear students, viewers, and the subscribers, welcome to the IAS Mentor. This would be our lecture number 116 in the series Indian Polity, and we are going to start a new topic today, that is the executive bodies. UPSC majorly focuses upon three types of bodies. One is the constitutional body, other is the statutory body, and the third type of body is what is called as an executive body. They are also called as extra constitutional bodies. So in case if there's a question on extra constitutional bodies, that is majorly the bodies established by an executive order or by an executive resolution. So I'll deal with some of the important executive bodies. But before we go to the executive bodies, there is also a current affairs series on Indian polity is running along with the Indian Polity Series. For the maximum benefit, especially the students appearing for the prelims this year, they can also refer to the current affairs series, which comprise of the most important current affairs which are relevant for the prelims 2025 in the last 1 year is what is focused in that current affairs series. And that's not a very big series, it's a very short series. So students, to maximize their mark, they can also look into the current affairs series. Alright. So with that, we'll enter into the next topic, that is the executive bodies. So the first question is, before we study about the different executive bodies, the first question is, what does it mean by an executive body? We have understood as to what is a constitutional body. What is a constitutional body? Any body which is established by the constitution becomes a constitutional body. What is a statutory body? A body which is established by way of a law, by way of an ordinary law, established by the parliamentary law or by the state legislature law, then it becomes a statutory body. And what is an executive body? A body established by way of a executive order. That is, who are the executives? That is the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So they pass a resolution, the Union Cabinet might pass a resolution, and based on that decision, if a body is created, and these bodies are considered to be what is called as executive bodies. Now, what is the difference between these bodies? If a constitutional body is to be abolished, it can be done only by way of a constitutional amendment. If a statutory body is to be abolished, the law can be amended or the law can be repealed, and thereby the body can be abolished. If an executive body is to be abolished, the Union Council of Ministers have to just pass a resolution, and thereby the body can be abolished. So therefore, the greatest amount of protection is to the constitutional bodies, then to the statutory bodies, and then finally is what is called as executive bodies. So this is the basic understanding you should have, but there are some executive bodies which also play a very important role in our system of governance. So what are those executive bodies? One such body is the recently created NITI Aayog. So we'll study about NITI Aayog. We'll study about Central Bureau of Investigation, a controversial body, and then we'll also talk about what is called as the Law Commission of India. So these are the three executive bodies that we are going to cover today, one after the other. So first I'll talk about the NITI Aayog. So what basically is the NITI Aayog? Now NITI Aayog was created in 2015, abolishing the erstwhile Planning Commission of India. So what was the role of Planning Commission? The role of Planning Commission is to make a centralized plan for the entire country. In fact, we had 5-year plans at that point of time. And majorly who was preparing this 5-year plan? It was the Planning Commission. So Planning Commission was abolished in 2015. And instead of the Planning Commission, a new body was created, what is called as NITI Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India. In fact, this was asked in 1 year UPSC question. What does NITI Aayog mean? It is National Institution for Transforming India. So basically the NITI Aayog is almost taking up the function of the Planning Commission, but not in the exact manner. Because one of the biggest criticism of the Planning Commission, the erstwhile Planning Commission, was it was too much centralized in nature. And there was what is called as a top-down approach. That means the participation of the various stakeholders in the planning process was not happening. For example, the Planning Commission was making plan for the development of the entire country, including the states. But the states were never represented in the Planning Commission, or they were not having much representation, and their voice was not taken into consideration. So therefore, it was mostly a top-down approach. From the top, few members make the decision, and then they send it to the bottom and they get implemented. So in this way, it is not good for a what is called as a federalism. In order to reflect the idea of, to move a little further, the idea of what is called as cooperative federalism. Now, cooperative federalism is a concept where the units of federation cooperate with one another. That is, the units of cooperation include the states as well as the center. So, they have to cooperate with one another. That's basically what is called as cooperative federalism. But however, the idea of planning commission was not reflective of that, and hence the planning commission was scrapped, and that was replaced with a think tank, a policy think tank, majorly to act as what is called as a policy think tank. And to ensure the idea of what is called as cooperative federalism, a new body was created, that is basically NITI Aayog. I'll discuss about this NITI Aayog in little further as we'll proceed. And the next thing that you're going to discuss is about the Central Bureau of Investigation. What is Central Bureau of Investigation? So, Central Bureau of Investigation, as the name suggests, today this is the premier investigating agency of the central government. So, the state does have their own state police. But whereas for the center, one premier investigating agency of all the other investigating agency is the Central Bureau of Investigation, which will look into various types of cases today. So, we will deal with the jurisdiction of CBI. We will try to understand the organization structure, what is the genesis of CBI, how it was established, what are the problems that are surrounding CBI today. So, we will discuss and we will touch upon all those things. And then the last body that we will touch is the Law Commission of India, which is basically a carry forward of the colonial legacy. And basically this is the body which gives recommendation to the government with regard to bringing changes to the various laws in our country. And if any law becomes redundant, whether the law is to be repealed or to be amended, so all these recommendations with regard to the legal domain is given by the Law Commission of India, which is also something we will discuss as we will proceed. Alright, so first with that introduction to all the three bodies, we will get into the first type of body, which is basically the NITI Aayog. As I already said, what is this NITI Aayog? NITI Aayog is today acting as a think tank for policy formulation. Now, in fact, if you look into the NITI Aayog, when it was established, it had certain major objectives. One such objective is to provide a long-term policy framework to the government of India and to the states. A long-term policy framework which will help in various developmental activities. So, how it does provide for a long-term policy framework? Because this acts as a think tank where people and experts will be part of it. They will carry out a lot of research and then therefore they give the inputs to make the policy. But however, how the the NITI Aayog is different in its approach in comparison to that of the Planning Commission. While the Planning Commission was following a top-down approach, NITI Aayog will form what is called as a bottom-up approach. There is representation of states. The states are also represented in the entire process. The states will be consulted and then a policy framework or an idea will be given by the NITI Aayog. So, one is long-term policy framework, and then the second thing is they will also monitor the implementation of these schemes. And by allowing the states to take part in this all the exercise, they are also providing a mechanism of what is called as cooperative federalism. So, cooperative federalism is a phenomena where there is cooperation between the various units of federalism, basically between the center and the states. So, the idea of NITI Aayog not only promotes the idea of cooperative federalism, but also what is called as competitive federalism. So, it not only creates cooperation between the center and the states, but it also promotes what is called as competition between various states. So, this is all the objectives of what is called as NITI Aayog. So, this is the first thing that you have to infer. But as we will proceed, we will also try to understand about the other features of NITI Aayog. What is its composition? What are the who are part of the NITI Aayog? You will understand whatever I discussed will reflect in terms of its composition and also its functioning. Alright, so please come to this particular area. So, what is the objective? Largely, the objective is NITI Aayog wanted the states to be partners in cooperative federalism. It wanted to give expert policy advice and provide a collaborative platform for implementation and monitoring the progress. Yes. So, NITI Aayog will not only give the policy suggestion, it will also monitor the implementation and it will see the gaps in the implementation. That will also seen by NITI Aayog. So, what is the composition of the NITI Aayog? The NITI Aayog shall consist of, it is having a governing council which is consists of the Prime Minister, the Chief Ministers of all the states, the Chief Ministers of Union Territories and the Lieutenant Governor of Union Territories where there are no Chief Ministers, and the administrators of certain Union Territories. So, who are all part of this. So, you can understand that the NITI Aayog has all the executives, not only from the center but also from the states. So therefore, it's an example of collaboration between the center and the states. So apart from that, it also has certain regional councils at the regional level, where the Prime Minister is the head of the regional council also, and the relevant chief ministers, including the union territories, will also be part of it. That means depending upon the region, the chief ministers in those states will be part of it. And then it may also have special invitees, usually people who are experts in certain domain. They may be called upon as special invitees, so that they can share upon their ideas, beliefs, and also whatever research that they have done. So all those things can be shared. Apart from that, NITI Aayog has a full-time organizational members also. So who are the full-time organizational members? It consists of a vice chairperson. Apart from it consists of a vice chairperson, and apart from it consists of a full-time members, as of course part-time members, ex officio members. So it consists of a vice chairperson who is a full-time member, and then it has, apart from the vice chairperson, full-time members, it has got some part-time members. It also has got some ex officio members. Who are the ex officio members? Ex officio members are those people who become part of the commission by virtue of certain other capacity. Usually not more than 4 union cabinet ministers appointed by the Prime Minister will become ex officio members. And then it also has a chief executive officer who will implement various decisions that is taken by the NITI Aayog, that is basically executed by the chief executive officer. So this is basically the composition of the NITI Aayog. And if you see the larger heads and the objectives as to what they have to do, so primarily they act as what is called as a think tank. So primarily they carry out research and they carry out lot of activities in relation to the research, and then they provide evidence based probably suggestions to come out with a certain policy framework. So that is basically their idea. And apart from that, they, in line with their research, they can formulate policies and suggest appropriate things to the various states and center. They will also monitor and evaluate the implementation of these policies. And finally, they are also placed for both cooperative as well as competitive federalism. So cooperative federalism means where the center and the state cooperate, where competitive federalism, where the states compete with one another in terms of their performance. That could be measured by the NITI Aayog. And there are certain examples where I can give. Say for example, today there is competition between the states in development of certain backward regions. There is a program which is called as the aspirational district program. Certain backward districts in India has been chosen for that, and how these backward districts are being developed is a competition between various states. Today various states compete in terms of ease of doing business, how they are rated in terms of ease of doing business. Today various states compete in terms of water management index, groundwater being a scarce resource, how these are effectively utilized. So for all those things, certain criteria are formulated, certain parameters are formulated, and the states are rated by the NITI Aayog, and therefore it creates competition between the states. So they also promote what is called as competitive federalism. So if you ask me what is NITI Aayog, it replaces the planning commission, but it is not a body which will come out and suggest, or it will not a body which will come out and follow what is called as a top-down approach. Rather, it has a mechanism of consultation, and based on which it can give policy suggestions based on research. But it has to be decided by the concerned stakeholders. And if decided, it will also look into the implementation and evaluation of these schemes. And it can also, therefore, act as a forum for both cooperative as well as competitive federalism. So this is basically what is NITI Aayog. Now we are moving to the second body, a very controversial body presently. If you open the newspaper, every now and then you will hear about the Central Bureau of Investigation. So Central Bureau of Investigation is primarily an investigating authority. And what are the nature of cases they investigate? In fact, they have a wide jurisdiction. They investigate in certain criminal cases, they investigate in cases referred to them by the Supreme Court and the High Courts, they investigate in cases related to prevention of corruption, they investigate in cases related to national security and certain serious economic offenses. So these are all the areas where the Central Bureau of Investigation take up the cases. But to understand all those things, first we'll have to understand the genesis of the Central Bureau of Investigation. how at all the Central Bureau of Investigation came into existence in the first place, for which we'll have to trace back its origin to what is called as a special police establishment. So initially, way back in 1941, an investigating authority was established which is called as a special police establishment. What is the role of the special police establishment? It was basically created to look into the corruption in the war department. 1941, Second World War was happening. So the government of India was spending on the war. So, but there was an allegation of lot of corruption. So to check this corruption, to investigate, a body was established, that is special police establishment. And the special police establishment was so effective in preventing the corruption. Then in 1946, a law was enacted which is called as the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. And by that law, the jurisdiction of the special police establishment only over the war department has been extended to all the departments of government of India. So they can investigate in corruption matters in all the departments. So this is how the Delhi Special Police Establishment empowered the special police establishment, or the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act empowered the special police establishment. So this is the genesis of the special police establishment. Now subsequently what has happened, based on the recommendation of certain committees in our country, in 1963, especially to prevent the corruption in our country, a specific body was established which is called as the Central Bureau of Investigation. So based on the resolution that is passed by the Home Ministry. When I say resolution passed by Home Ministry, an executive resolution, that means an executive decision was taken based on which the Central Bureau of Investigation was established. And later in 1963, although it was established, later what has happened, the special police establishment was merged with the Central Bureau of Investigation. So both the bodies were combined. So this is what has happened, but still as per this resolution that was passed by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and then later after the merging of the CBI and the special police establishment, now CBI would still continue to derive its power from the Delhi Special Police Establishment, because Special Police Establishment was deriving its power from where? From the Delhi Special Police Establishment. After the merger, then it was called as CBI. Now CBI would derive its power from where? From the Delhi Special Police Establishment. Now many times I ask the students whether CBI is a statutory body or it is an executive body. Because of the Delhi Special Police Establishment, they think that CBI is a statutory body. No. Now CBI is not a statutory body. CBI is a body established by an executive order. But however, it derives its power from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Now how do you come to a conclusion whether a body is an executive body or not, is based on how they are established. They are established only based on the resolution of Home Ministry, but they continue to derive their powers from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Just because they are deriving their powers from a particular act, they cannot be considered to be what is called as a statutory body. It has to be seen only how it is established. Because it is established by a executive order, they continue to be a executive body. Now although while it was established, it was under the Ministry of Home Affairs, later it was transferred to Department of Personnel and Training, and still continue to derive its power from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. So therefore, what is the status of CBI today? It is only a statutory body continuing to derive its power from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. And what is the jurisdiction that is entrusted upon CBI today? CBI has jurisdiction in number of areas. That means what are the areas they can carry out the investigation? They can carry out investigation in number of areas, which includes criminal cases referred by the Supreme Court and High Court, high profile economic offences, cases related to national security, and of course cases related to prevention of corruption. So these are all the areas where the Central Bureau of Investigation has its jurisdiction today. So it has to be very clear in your mind as to what are the areas they have got the jurisdiction. But the most important thing that you have to keep in your mind, now remember the genesis of Special Police Establishment. It was established to look into the corruptions in the War Department. So basically these officials were in Delhi and the department was in Delhi. And later in 1946, the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act was passed, which empowered the Special Police Establishment to carry out investigation across all the departments in Delhi. And then subsequently CBI was established, and both the Special Police Establishment merged with CBI and they came to be CBI. And the CBI continued to exercise its power over all the departments within Delhi. all the departments in the central government and all the officials in Delhi, and it had the power to investigate. But however, can the CBI investigate beyond the jurisdiction of Delhi? Is that possible? Yes, it is also possible as per the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act by virtue of section 6 of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. So if they want to investigate against any state government officials or beyond the territory of Delhi, can they investigate CBI? Yes, but for which, as per the section 6 of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, the state should give what is called as a general consent. So of late this word general consent is repeated in the newspaper. In fact, this may be very relevant for your prelims examination also. Now what is this provision of general consent as per the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act? That many states in our country will give general consent to the CBI, which means when they give general consent to the CBI, if at all the CBI officials wanted to probe any matters outside the jurisdiction of Delhi, they can do so for a period of 6 months without taking permission from the states on a case-to-case basis. This consent is generally given for 6 months. So in the 6 months time, the CBI officials can enter into any state, carry out investigations against any of the officials in that particular state without the permission of the state. But however, provided only if the general consent is given, and as per the section 6, it is not mandatory for the states to give the general consent. If the states want, they can give the general consent. What if the states take away the general consent? If the states take away the general consent, then also the CBI can investigate, but after seeking the permission of a particular state. On a case-to-case basis, they have to seek the permission of the state to enter into the state and to carry out the investigation. So this is basically how it has to happen. But after the CBI was established, most of the states were giving general consent. So after 6 months, again they'll give the general consent. After 6 months, again they'll give the general consent. So it was seamless for the CBI to carry out the investigation easily. But of late, what is happening is there is an allegation against the center and the CBI that the CBI is being misused to corner the political opponents. So because of this particular reason, many states are now taking away this general consent, and they are saying that we will give approval to the CBI on a case-to-case basis. The latest one being the general consent approval was taken by the state of Karnataka. Not only state of Karnataka, even before that, many states like West Bengal, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, many of the states were taking away this general consent. So therefore, try to understand, if at all a question comes in the examination, what is general consent? It is related to the states giving permission to the CBI. Does it mean that the CBI cannot enter into any state without the permission of the state government? Yes, there are certain exceptions as per the direction given by the Supreme Court. If they have to investigate about a central government employee outside territory, still outside the territory of Delhi, still they can enter and they can carry out the investigation. There is no need for the approval of the states. But if they have to investigate against a state government official, yes, they need the approval of the state. And also, if a matter is directed to CBI, either by the Supreme Court or the High Courts, then also there is no need to take the permission of the states. So these are all some of the exceptions that is given under the exceptions as per the Supreme Court judgment. So now we will go into the organizational hierarchy of CBI. Now CBI is usually headed by a director level officer who is usually in the rank of additional Director General of Police or Director General of Police, and he or she is appointed by a select committee, and this select committee comprises of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, Chief Justice of India, or a judge nominated by the Chief Justice of India. So these members will be part of the select committee who will recommend the names to the CBI director. And as per the Supreme Court judgment, once a CBI director is appointed, minimum will have a term of 2 years. Even if he is above 60 years also, once appointed, he will have a minimum term of 2 years, and that can be extendable up to 5 years, 1 year at a time. That means there can be 3 extensions that can be given. A couple of years later, one of the CBI director was given 3 extensions by the government. So therefore, that is permissible under the law, it can be done. So these are all some of the provisions that you have to keep in your mind. But however, there are certain element of criticism with regard to the CBI today. Though a premier investigating agency, many of the critics say that the CBI act as a puppet in the hands of the central government, or in fact in the words of the Supreme Court it is said that it is a parrot which speaks the voice of its master. or in other words, the Supreme Court has in fact coined the CBI as a caged parrot. Why it is called as a caged parrot? A caged parrot speaks the voice of the master. It just do what the master want him or her to do. So that is why there is a criticism with regard to the CBI, that basically CBI delivers the agenda of the government. An investigating agency should be an independent authority. It should not act as per the agenda of the government. And that is why many experts say that the CBI should be given a statutory status. That means instead of it being an executive body, it should be established by way of a statute, which is also the opinion which is given by the Supreme Court of India. So how many of you watching this particular lecture who wanted CBI to be a statutory body and not an executive body? If you want it to be a statutory body, or whatever is your opinion, you can put your opinion in the comment box, and these comments are really going to motivate me in doing the further videos. Alright, so with that we move to the next body, that is the Law Commission of India. So if you see the Law Commission of India, the Law Commission of India is again an executive body which is having a long colonial legacy. So presently the Law Commission is established by an executive resolution, and it continues to function under what is called as the Law Department or the Law Ministry in our country. So for the first time it was established in 1834, then in 1853, 1861, 1879, and it continued. And after the independence and after the commencement of the constitution, we also had this mechanism. We first established a Law Commission in 1955. So basically their main function is revision and updation of all the laws in our country, because the laws over a period of time can become redundant. Laws over a period of time becomes not so updated as per the social circumstances. So in all these cases the law needs a periodic revision, and who is an expert body who will give the opinion to the government as to what kind of laws needs updation, what kind of laws needs to be repealed? It is the Law Commission of India. In fact, it was Mr. M.C. Setalvad, who was also the Attorney General of India. He was the first chairman of the Law Commission of India, and the latest one, starting 1951, the latest Law Commission was appointed as the 22nd Law Commission. Usually the Law Commission members and the chairperson has got a term of 3 years. And what is the composition of the Law Commission? The composition is not fixed, but usually it is 3 years. It consists of chairman and some other members and a secretary with a legal background. A secretary is someone who is an executive officer and with a legal background. So this is basically the composition of the Law Commission of India. I would say the Law Commission of India is not that important, but the Central Bureau of Investigation is very important, and you may have a fair idea about the NITI Aayog also. With that we come to the end of the executive bodies as well. So we have completed the statutory bodies, we have completed the executive bodies, and also we have completed the constitutional bodies. And before I complete, whatever I said, it is described here. What are the functions? Identify the laws no longer relevant, to revise the central acts and give general importance and remove anomalies and ambiguities in the law, to revise the existing laws in the light of DPSP and suggest legislations to implement them, to suggest recommendations on matter which are specifically referred to them, and whatever is suggested by the Law Commission of India, a report of this is submitted by the government to the President of India, or the Commission will submit the report to the President, and of course not the President, to the Law Ministry, to the Law Ministry, and the Law Ministry will forward the report to the Parliament from time to time. So this is basically what is the function of the Commission. So with that we are coming to the end of the discussion, and our discussion will not be over without this particular question. So come to the question. CBI is a statutory body, whether it is right or wrong. The CBI director can be appointed for a maximum of 2 years, and there is no possibility of extension of his or tenure under any circumstances. Can his tenure be extended? The CBI is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. Is it Ministry of Home Affairs or is it some other ministry? How many of the statements given above are incorrect? 1 only, 2 only, 3 only, 4 only. If you watch my lecture, it is not a very difficult question. You can answer the question. Please put your answers in the comment box. With that, we are coming to the conclusion of this particular lecture. So we are done with the statutory, executive and the constitutional bodies. So from now on, certain minor topics are pending. So another few classes I will complete the entire series. And if the students watch the entire series in a chronological order, it is going to be extremely useful to the examination. In addition to the Indian Polity Series, if you can also watch the Current Affairs series, which is already there, and it is a very short series. It is not a long series, specifically catering to the requirements of the students appearing for the prelims 2025. It could extremely benefit you in getting high marks in the prelims examination, especially in the polity paper. You can score up to 80 to 90% of the questions right if you can watch them and if you can revise them on a regular basis. Alright, so with that I will wind up the lecture for today. If you know any of your friends preparing for the examination, please refer them the website. Please refer them this particular channel, and it will be immensely beneficial to them. Thank you very much for watching this particular lecture. All the very best.